the next area that we want to talk about is family vision and what we refer to as the outer circle. Outer circle are friends, family, your family of origin versus the family that you're building with your partner. So, Melissa, what is the question behind the question? Where do we start? How do we frame this discussion?
What does family mean to each of you, and how will you allow or want the outer circle to be engaged in that? So your family of origin, where you came from.
So let's break this into two distinct areas that we're going to explore. The first is us as a couple. Mm-hmm. When we had our premarital discussions and talks, we spent a lot of time on the vision we had for each other. To have kids or not is probably the most obvious place that almost every couple is going to talk about. And in our view, if you're not aligned on that one, that is a huge red flag, stop, do not go. Make sure you're aligned on if you're having kids or not. Because in your experience,
my experience is people don't typically change their mind. Just assume that what they're telling you in that moment, I don't want kids, believe them.
Right.
It might change, but you cannot bank on that.
Yeah. The first conversation is, are we having kids or not? If you're not having kids, I think this family unit question goes in an entirely different direction than we're going to talk about, because then you're talking about a lot of the things we had in our vision conversation earlier. What's your job look like? Do you want to travel? What's the vision? So for the next part, let's assume that the answer to that is yes, you want to have kids. If you want to have kids, here's the question behind the question of what does that mean for our family? With that being the background, I think it starts with, hey, let's talk about how we were raised. What did parenting look like to us? So what did parenting look like for you? Let's talk about us specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom and dad fell on the traditional roles. Dad worked outside the home. Mom stayed home with us kids. So I was about 13. So that made my little brother about 11. And before she went into the workforce. And that's what I saw. Mom did. Dad worked really long days. He rarely took days off. Even when he got injured on the job, took hardly any days off. He worked a lot.
Right. So did your mom do most of the parenting in the house?
Absolutely.
Dad was the enforcer? Or was mom the enforcer?
Mom was the enforcer.
Mom was the parenter and the enforcer?
Yeah. They took turns on the weekends, but Dad worked, Monday through Friday.
Is that how your dad recharged on the weekends? He took the disciplinary?
No. Dad was involved just on a different level. Mom did a lot of the enforcing, but he definitely, they were on the same page with that.
Okay. So why are we asking that question? Well, that's how you saw the role of a mother and the father in parenting. Doesn't mean that's how you and I parent, but that's what you saw. Let's talk a little bit about what I saw growing up. My parents got divorced when I was 4 years old, I believe. Saw mom only on every other weekend. My dad raised me, so I didn't see a mother unit in the house on a regular basis. Then when I was in, middle school, then my dad remarried when I was, 7 or 8, something like that. And I had a stepmom through all the way until early high school. That was not a good experience. We'll leave it at that. So I had a very negative mother role in the house. And then my dad got divorced when I was, junior or sophomore in high school, and we were back to being bachelors. So I lived as a bachelor in high school. So I had a very different understanding of the role of a father and a mother in the house than you did. So the question, why this matters in talking about family, is it impacts how I turned out to be as a father, how you turned out to be as a mother. It will impact your relationship. So have a discussion about your upbringing. I think that's an important part.
Yes,
Thoughts?
it very much shapes us.
I feel like I'm giving the counselor answer on this. This is all the counselor. Tell me about your childhood. Because why?
And you know what? There's a reason for it. That's the beginning. That's how we're formed.
Right.
Is from what we experience early on.
And it allows you to see, hey, what do you want to mirror and do, and what do you want to change, right? And that's equally as important. I'm a big believer that how you were raised or the circumstances you grew up in, yes, they influence, but they don't set where you're going. So I've changed a lot of things. And one of the things that's really important to us is that if we were going to have kids, we needed to be solid foundationally first, because I wasn't interested in bringing kids into a family unit that got blown up.
Yeah, and you're so right on that. A lot of people I know they parent by doing the opposite of what their parents did. And
in areas that you don't like.
And that's what I was going to say, because With a few exceptions, which I think most people would know, so I don't need to go into them. I don't know of many parents that are all good or all bad. There's a mix in there. So there are some things that you take with you and that are good and you want to take with you. And then there are others that you're like, I know how this made me feel. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do the opposite of that. And so it's a little bit of each, and that's part of that introspection thing as well.
Yeah. So have that deep conversation, not just do you want to have kids, but hey, how do I want to raise my kids? And know that that's influenced by how you were raised. Speaking of kids, have conversations about what happens if kids don't come when you expect them to come. Talk about that a little bit. What was our journey there?
Yeah, we had some struggles. We did not conceive easily. And so it took a while. But that didn't even cross my mind when we talked about having kids. It was, we decided to have kids and I made an assumption that that would happen.
Right.
We decided on it, it will happen. That's not always the case. What does that look like? Or what happens if we purposely went, okay, we want them here. We're going to try here. What happens if it comes early?
We might have been doing things that would have allowed kids to come earlier in our relationship. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, I was thinking more, sometimes they come
Unexpectedly.
Early
or unexpectedly
late
in life.
Right? Yeah.
Talk about that.
I've known of women that have unintentionally gotten pregnant in their 40s and they're like, oh my goodness, what does this look like?
Yeah. So how are you going to deal with that? So I think be ready and have those conversations, not just do you want kids, but what happens if we struggle having them? What if they come unexpectedly? Yeah.
What do you think about adoption? Those are all deeper questions than do you want kids?
I think the last bit on this, having kids in your family unit, is really you want to get into discussions about, are you going to raise them with religion? Are you going to be adamant that there's an active lifestyle? Are you more of a arts and music and that sort of stuff? Or a combination, hopefully a healthy balance? What do you believe on discipline? How does discipline happen? Do you both participate in the discipline? Are you consistent and aligned? Again, you're not trying to solve these things, but you're trying to explore these discussions so that you have a sense of 5 and 10 years into your marriage, how are you going to be functioning as a family unit around this topic? Let's pivot and talk about what we refer to as the outer circle, extended family, friends.